I guess we can keep it on the NBA here. So, now we're past kind of the halfway mark in the season and everything. So, I was looking at some of the Vegas odds on DraftKings on who's the favorites to win MVP. Right now, it is Nikola Jokic. SGA is number 2, actually, and then Luka and Giannis. Curious, Pat, like, what are your thoughts on kind of who do you believe is the MVP? Does Vegas got it right? Do you see somebody winning it at the end of the NBA season?
So to get it right, we've got Jokic up at the top slot.
Mm-hmm. SGA, yeah, and
I
then Luke.
always SGA. I always think that's fair. Like I think you got to look at who is honestly the best basketball player right now on the floor. I think Jokic is. I don't necessarily know if this year's numbers say that. I think Doncic has had honestly the most eye popping numbers of any player I've been tracking so far this year. I mean, I think he's averaging like 35 a game, maybe 9 assists, 8 rebounds, or something like that. Like it's getting pretty ridiculous for him. But his Mavs team is like probably positioned in the play-in tournament, so I think that's a huge knock against him. I think what's kind of crazy is I like those top 4. Like I think they're all superstars. I think they're great players. But I do think it's kind of an insult to Jayson Tatum and even Ant Edwards from Minnesota. Like those are the two guys kind of driving those number 1 seeds on both sides of the conference. As far as right now, it looks like Minnesota's getting more in the thick of it with Denver and Oklahoma City as well. I think like it's starting to get pushed on. So SGA will probably get some more points for that, even Jokic. But just looking at how great Boston's been this year, I mean, like they could get up to some high 60s wins as far as like just win totals for the year. They're looking really good. I'm wondering when the playoff time comes, like how will the mentality change? How will rotations change for teams? Like will Boston keep that momentum going as they get into the playoffs? But like if Tatum's points per game, if his rebounds, assists, if his more granular ratios aren't up to par with some of the other superstars, then I totally get that. I think Jokic is always the safe pick for me. Like if I was just to think like who do I think is the most efficient, contributor and then the one who leads his teams to the most wins, like I would look at Jokic. But yeah, man, I think that's appropriate for now. I think it's appropriate, but it'd be interesting to see those 2 other guys get their names in the mix for it because they've definitely earned it this year.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, this goes to show like what exactly is the MVP? It's oftentimes given to the best player and the best team for whatever reason necessarily they're not necessarily the most valuable player. In my opinion, most valuable player in its true sense of the word, I think, is Luka Doncic for sure, leading in points. His creation, it's not just the pure sense, but he's definitely usually the ball handler. I know it's him and Kyrie, but he definitely is the most impactful there. So, yeah, like Luka for me, for its truest sense of the word of most valuable player, I think is the MVP with respect to all those other players that that I just mentioned there. But I mean, there is a reason why Nikola Jokic is the favorite. Almost averaging a triple double, highly efficient. 25 points on 57% shooting. So it's like, how can you discredit him for some of that? But then yeah, SGA, like that team is, you asked who's the best player in that team, is unequivocally him. And I think it's kind of, at least right now, it's far between him and the second best player, right? Or Chet Holmgren or Jalen Williams, right? Or Josh Giddey. I think he's by far the best player there. You kind of compare that with some of those other teams there, and the first and second, the difference between the first and second players. It's like, I think SGA, at least right now, is easily the best player in that team, and I think he is, creating a lot of shots and opportunities for the rest of the team there. So, yeah. But so for me, I would probably rank it maybe Jokic, Doncic, and then SGA, and then maybe Giannis there as well. It definitely is something with Jayson Tatum is that it's because he has Jaylen Brown, right? I think that might be or just the Celtics in general, right? They're just so talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the team itself is just like from top to bottom with the original unicorn, right? There too now, and then Drew Holiday, right? It's like how can you not screw this team up? And you know, but then you compare that to what Jokic is doing and Doncic is doing, Giannis. It's like everything runs through them. Not everything runs through Tatum. Maybe in the fourth quarter, but yeah, like throughout the rest of the game, it's usually one of those MVP candidates there. But yeah, otherwise he is probably the best player and the best team there. It's just that there's a reason why that team is considered the best team is because they have so much talent on that roster compared to maybe some of the other teams besides Denver, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tatum's got like 27, 8.5, and 6 as far as his line goes. His 27 like ranks him like ninth or 10th in points, which is kind of nuts. Like, but looking at the, if you look at the points per game, you filter that for all those players. Like there are some superstars up at the top. Like it is a heavyweight fight for that MVP, and kind of digging into some of Jokic's numbers, like you were just doing. I mean, for him to be almost averaging a triple double with how good he is, like purely as a player, it's not just he's got the ball in his hands, so he's able to accomplish all these stat sheet type numbers. And then Doncic, like you're saying as well, like he commands the rock. He's got most of the attention, but he also has Kyrie Irving playing off him, who's also pretty ball dominant. So it's like for both of those guys to be almost averaging a triple double, the separator to me is going to be how good their teams are. And right now, it looks like obviously the Nuggets are pretty stacked. Denver or Dallas, I should say, is just one of those teams. I feel like it's got a couple of stars. It's got some role players, but it's far away from really contending. So while they will make the playoffs, it's like I don't know. It feels like kind of they could be interesting because of Doncic, but other than that, like they seem like a first round exit type of team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting who they go against. So, will they go against maybe a younger team that kind of like went into the playoffs? So, like right now, it looks like the Mavericks are eighth right now. So, I guess if the playoffs right were to start right now, so then it would be 8 and 9. I think is that what it is?
I think it goes 7 and 8 play for the 7 seed, and then 9 and 10 play for a shot at the 8 seed, and they
Oh,
play the
okay,
loser
that's
of that
right.
7-8 game,
Gotcha.
which is pretty stupid to be honest. Really, outside of just making money and like like having a playoff for no real reason. It's just to make more money and get some more eyeballs in the game. But man, it's stupid, dude. I mean, go back to 8 teams against the other 8 teams on the conference. Like you're already taking half the league. Like it's a joke, man. I don't know.
I mean, you gotta play these. You gotta pay these NBA salaries with something apparently. So, because they can't make enough money just the simple playoff format that they had before. So, yeah, no, it's interesting how this thing's gonna unfold here. But yeah. So, but yeah, I think they're competing for the like you said 7 and 8 seed. It's just this whole stupid thing. So yeah, just a lot of I think gonna be internal positioning there that happens between looks like from 7 all the way to 10 there. So but yeah, so I think they could potentially be going right. If this season were to end right now, it's like 10 is Golden State Warriors, 9 is Lakers, Dallas at 8, and then it looks like 7 here is the Kings. So all teams with playoff experience and all teams could potentially make a run. We'll see what happens in the 5 and 6 right with the Pelicans and Suns. Both I mean the Pelicans pretty healthy right now. I think that's always been the calling card. Ultra talented young team, players entering the prime now with Brandon Ingram, who I think is one of the better players that nobody really knows too much about, I feel like. But yeah, overall great talented team that they have over there, and they're healthy, and that's really what's been holding them back. And then yeah, the Suns obviously with KD, Devin, Booker, and Bradley Beal as well. So there's a lot of capabilities I think and moving that can happen between now and the end of the season. But yeah, like with Luka, uh, if he can move up, like I don't know, to the 7th seed, maybe 6th seed, does he get the MVP then? I mean, I don't know. That's where I'm thinking if he can move up in terms of positioning, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. I think he'd probably have to get them in the top 4 or something. If I was just to guess offhand, if he's going up against Jokic and everything going on in the East, like I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I mean, his numbers are so good. It's the only thing saving him. Like it's almost like that Russell Westbrook year on OKC with the triple double numbers. And I can't remember where OKC placed, but I think they were high enough up in the Western Conference for him to, get those MVP honors and stuff. But we'll see, man. Yeah, it's a it'll come down to Doncic and probably Jokic and I don't know. Barring anything crazy, if Giannis can get the Bucks in the 1 seed, which would be nuts in its own right, which I don't really see, he'd probably be the outside player for me. But yeah, I would just go with those 2 guys, the European guys who probably shouldn't be in the league, according to Gilbert Arenas.
Why is that now? Why is that,
huh? Because he's crazy. I mean, I don't know, man. That guy, he shoots from the hip with a lot of his opinions. I've heard past opinions of his that are just like, I don't know if it's clickbait, if he's just trying to like throw stuff out there, it's gonna just go nuclear. But man, that's like a non-starter. Like that's just so stupid.
Yeah, and I mean, this is if there's someone to blame, let's blame the AAU system, right? Like they don't teach the fundamentals, they don't teach team basketball. It's all ISOs and stuff. So yeah, let's blame AAU there. I think Kobe got it right. Kobe got it right. So yeah,
yeah, and I think he was saying something along the lines of they don't play any defense, and like from a lot of what the analysts have been saying, like Europeans like actually do hold their weight pretty well. Like a lot of the Europeans are pretty good defenders in their own right and stuff. And it's probably again goes back to fundamentals and where American basketball has taken players because yeah, I mean you look down the line of any team, like they've got a couple, 2, 3, 4, if not 5, like European guys that are, definitely holding up their end, on these NBA rosters.
Yeah, and SGA Canadian. So like the top 4 MVP candidates are not American. How about that? So I don't know what Gilbert Arenas is trying to do. I mean, he's trying to create clickbait. That's what he's trying to do. But yeah, just you gotta give the respect where it's due here. I think with with those players here. So